to Thursday with the Friend. My name is Lawrence, and today we're going to be talking with PNC Pixels and Creations, right?
Creatures.
Creatures, right there. It's right down the bottom too. Tom, thank you for joining me.
Right.
Matthew,
Thanks for having me.
Quickly, Matthew says, "What's up, everyone? Not watching SDCC coverage. I didn't even think about that, to be honest. I even just sent Matthew a message that they are making me work on my last live before I go on vacation because there is a lot of stuff that is dropping. So, anyway, how is everything up with you?
Everything's fine. No excitement right now. So
No excitement.
Yeah.
You're not watching all the coverage of SDCC going, how am I going to afford all of this?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I'm like, do I really need that? Like, no, but I still have to get it.
Isn't that how we all are? I gotta say, I've luckily there's a lot of things that I'm starting to cut out, but man, I'm looking at the G.I. Joe stuff and I'm just going,
oh yeah,
they are just killing my wallet just looking at all that stuff. And
it's always like I feel like I'm done, and then something else comes out. I'm like, no, stop that.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said, with the classified, it's like I will collect every single one till I miss one, and then maybe I won't be such a completionist. Maybe that Tiger Force Flint will be the first one that I miss because that thing looks awful.
Yeah, it looked like a joke character. Like I didn't think he was real. I'm like,
you know what? I'm with you. The colors don't even bother me as much as it's like that paint around the eyes.
Yeah, it's kind of like. Did you see Prey?
Yes. Oh yeah.
And they had that kind of makeup over the eyes, and it's just like.
Yeah, I can fully see that. But then Chaz had actually posted a picture of it, the box. And when you look at the box, the makeup is supposed to go over the eyes. So it's like, oh, they can't even go like, hey, let's remove this because everyone thinks it looks stupid because it's on the box.
Well, that's because you don't actually see it until you pull it out of the box.
That is true. So anyway, let's just get to know you a little bit. Like I said, you're always in the chat. You're a channel member, so I definitely do appreciate that. So where does the name Pixels and Creatures come from?
Well, I used to do I had an online comic strip. I used to do cartoons. I had a DeviantArt page. I had a YouTube channel. I had these different cartoons that I did. And then the Pixels part would be retro gaming because I would talk about retro games and they were all pixel graphics. So I combined them in a really bad way. So I've been stuck with it for now, forever.
Then is it safe to say that your comic strip is the little creature that's there?
Well, yeah, because I always made these little goofy little creatures, and the main one was about a cow that was. It was like in caveman days where all the cows were abducted by aliens, so these alien cows. And they brought them all back, but they were all stupid. So they're all, the way cows are now. But he escaped, and now they're trying to catch him. It's kind of like a Tom and Jerry type of cat and mouse type of thing. So it's these cows that are like chasing each other, and they die in every book, but they come back.
Okay, now this sounds extremely interesting. Like this is the type of stuff I want to pull out of people, but I expected this, stuff like this a little bit later. So, do you still do this comic strip?
No. Well, you know what? All of that might come up in the middle of this because there's a time where everything's gone. Everything's gone, and I have ideas. I'm reworking it. I'm going to do it again. But yeah, there was a time where I deleted all my social media, all of my accounts, all of my artwork, everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is like really. I'm just thinking like this. Like all the cows get brought back and they're dumb except for this. Like
yeah.
Like so.
And it's there's because the alien cow, he's green and he's got two little udders. But when I first drew him, it was just one, and that looked really gross, so I had to change it up a little bit. Yeah, and then
what did that look like?
It was purple. I don't know. Yeah, just one udder sticking out just didn't look right. So I added another one. But.
All right. So
But yeah,
quick look.
they basically in every panel or every scene or something that one of them dies or gets tortured or something like that. And I had one where they were doing experiments and they put like stuff in his head and he came back and that's what made Cal's dumb today. So and then
Well,
I had little other characters, all these little creatures and stuff. That's just where the creatures came from. So
we're gonna get into that. So let's add it, Allison. Greetings, everyone who is not watching SDCC coverage, or like me, has many screens up and running, and running, so we can watch it all. Viper Scout, nice to see you. We got David R. and of course Johnny Reno. It's kind of like the second half of Tony, another Arizonan. So, so your name is Tom.
yes.
I know I didn't know that. Maybe I did. I mean, I think we may have discussed it because when I know you just requested to be on the Facebook group page.
Yeah, I know. I heard you mentioned it before, but I don't really Facebook.
Yeah,
Right?
well,
Yeah.
it's funny. There's so many people that don't. But when I saw like the creature, I was kind of like, huh. I'm like, that looks kind of. It looks like it's yours, but I didn't know your name, and you have nothing on
Oh,
your.
the toe mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my name's Thomas or Tom Toe Mouse.
All right, so let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Do you mind me asking about like what age range you are?
What I'm what?
Like around your age range.
Oh,
Not
47? Yeah.
okay. So you're my age. Okay.
Yeah.
It seems like so far everyone that I've talked to is right in that. Travis was a little bit younger, right in that age range, to where we
Yeah, I
had
was
all the
born
stories.
the year before Star Wars.
Oh, okay, so a little bit younger than me, just a little bit. I was born right before '76 hit, so.
Oh, yeah.
So you're from Arizona.
Yes.
Now, were you born and raised in Arizona?
Yeah, I've always been here. So.
Okay. So.
And weirdly enough, almost in the same town. It's strange. It's like even after we moved around a lot, I still ended up in the same area.
I live about 3 miles from where I grew up. So I moved out to what was Clarkston, which is roughly 40 to 45 minutes away to live with a girl for maybe a little over 2 years. Other than that, I've lived in the exact same city. Well, there's like two cities. There's like one little town that I live in now that's surrounded by a city. I've lived in the exact same area, never moved away.
Yeah, the place where I'm at now, it's called Surprise, and it used to be small. It's expanding a lot. It's starting to get annoying. But yeah, there's a bunch of new stores that opened up, and it's convenient, but it just makes more traffic.
I am not a country person. That I like the noise of the city and roads and cars going by. That's just me. I'm a city person. I guess when you're a skateboarder, you want concrete roads and rails and steps and different things like that.
Yeah, I never skated, but I had a horrible experience with a skateboard. But because I had one. It was like an off-branded one, and I used to lay on it and then go down the hills and stuff at this park. And I went right into the duck pond, and so that was my whole skating history.
That's not that bad. I mean, I was expecting something awful.
I've had a lot of weird encounters with ducks. I don't know why. Maybe they're after me, but one time in school I slipped. I saw some ducks and they irrigated, so there was water everywhere. And I saw some ducks and I went to go try to talk to them, I guess. And I slipped in the water and I came back to class and I'm all wet. And I was like, "There's ducks," and they went out there. There's no ducks.
But so I spent a week in Arizona. Maybe a year, maybe 95. Like 10 days I went out there for spring break, and my buddy was going to ASU out there. And then I also flew out there and we drove back. Just so you guys know, before you do a road trip with someone, make sure you know if you can stand being in a car with them for 3 days, because this guy and I had, I mean, we were great friends, but you learn a lot being with someone, especially when someone can't sleep while you're driving.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize, because I didn't understand why everything was always flooded. All the yards were flooded. And he's like, it doesn't rain here. They flood the yard, so you have grass. And I was like, but it just rains. It's like, it doesn't rain here. Like it's the desert.
Yeah, we bring up all the water from the sewer.
All right, so growing up, did you have any siblings or anything?
I have two. Well, I had two half brothers. One actually just passed away last summer. But I had the two half brothers, and they I didn't really interact with them too much, but they were around. Yeah.
Were they older or younger?
They were older. Yeah, my dad's first encounter. So.
Okay. so like obviously as a kid, what toys did you? Were there toys? I mean, because a lot of people, a lot of kids actually weren't into toys, which is shocking. But there's a lot of kids that, and my son was. I mean, he played with some, but.
Well, I was into them, but the funny thing is when I was really young, I wasn't into anything, and because I didn't know what was out there, I wasn't really in the loop. I mean, literally, I didn't have the loop for the back of my TV, so I didn't get those channels. And so
that's the UHF.
Yeah, the UHF.
I've never heard of it referred to as the loop.
Yeah, it's a circle.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I know as soon as you said it, but I've never heard of it referred to as the loop, which makes sense.
But I would get stuff for Christmas. They would ask me what I want for Christmas or what I want for my birthday. I'm like, I don't know, glue. Like I didn't know. I wasn't into anything. So my cousins were into stuff. So my younger cousins, they were Masters of the Universe and some other stuff. And then my older cousin, he was Transformers and Mask. So because of them, I would just get a bunch of random things for Christmas and like a pile of it. And one year I got Castle Grayskull. I got He-Man and Skeletor. I can't remember the Battle Cat. Yeah. So I got all of that, and I never seen it before. I didn't know what it was, but I just remember staring at the box, the Grayskull. I just thought it was the coolest thing. And I didn't have the channel that showed the show, so I knew nothing about what they were. So I just thought, the skeleton face guy, that's his castle, and then He-Man's the bad guy. He's trying to fight for it, So I was completely wrong by the time I saw the cartoon.
So you grew up playing He-Man.
Yeah.
Thinking that Castle Grayskull was.
Well, at the very beginning,
it makes sense when you look at it from a child's point of view. But you thought He-Man was the bad guy that was trying to take it from him?
I just made him the bad guy because I didn't like him. But it's funny because on the back of the box, the packages they had, they would show the different characters.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing Merman, and the way he looked, I just thought he looked really cool. And then when the toy actually came out, he didn't look like that. Those drawings. And I was always let down. And then I noticed the Origins figures just came out, or last year the what was it, the Lords of Power?
Yep.
And they made them look like that. I bought them right away. So even though I don't collect Motu now, but I have a little Merman shrine. So
yeah, with the Origins, they've done a really good job of taking the figures that were in the mini comic.
Yeah.
That, before the cartoon, because that's how it was created, and doing those figures. Again, it's just repaints, but it's cool grabbing that type of stuff where, people saw the card art or those comics and thought, hey, you know what, this is actually pretty cool. Let's do this, along with giving people, again, when they started, they were like $15. So that was a great deal for everything. And then everything,
it was really
those are now for $18.
Yeah. But well, during so like I said, Star Wars kind of happened around me, and I didn't really pay attention because I didn't see the first movie until all three of them had come out. But my grandma was the one; she was a huge Star Wars fan, and she used to buy the toys, and she had the toys over at her house, and we would come over. I played with Star Wars stuff, but again, I never saw the movie, so um, the Jedi Luke.
Yes.
He has the black glove. Yeah, I thought he was Han Solo because he had one hand.
All right. Johnny says you should come back and chill in Arizona, which I guess is directly refers to, I guess, that it's pretty hot there in Arizona, which it always is, but it's a dry.
Yeah, I think it was 116 today.
Woo!
But I didn't go outside. So.
That is crazy. That's crazy. We would go down to we used to go down to Dallas for training. So I've been down to Dallas a bunch of times. And one of the instructors that we had, he was full bred, full Mexican, dark skinned. And I remember talking to him. He grew up there, and he was like, "Man, it's so hot. It's so hot in the summer. You can't even just go sit on your porch and just relax and enjoy it because it's so hot." And I'm like, "And that's coming from like a full bred Mexican." I mean, you're just like, "Yeah, I'm not going to survive." And Michigan it hits like 90. It'll be like 95 degrees, 95% humidity. It feels awful. And then you think Texas. But I know Matthew's from where, it's 100, 105 with 100% humidity.
Well, I mean, I think I've been used to it. It sucks, but I told you that one time I'd never seen snow. So.
That's so crazy to me. Like,
and I know snow exists in Arizona. We just never went like when I was a kid. So, and I don't know. One time we went and it was really slushy. Like it wasn't really snow. It was just crap that was left over. So I did see. I guess I saw white stuff. Is pretty much it. So.
To me, that's so crazy to me. But when I was a little bit younger, it was crazy to me when someone told me that they've never been to Canada, and but it's right there.
Oh,
then
yeah.
You realize not everyone lives right there.
There's so many Canadians that come out here, though. I think what are they called? Snowbirds, I think. I used to work. I used to work at Best Buy, and I used to do cell phones there, and I would get Canadians all the time, and they were really nice, but it was just so weird. They came at the same time every year, and then they hang out during the winter, and then they take off.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of the people in Michigan go down to Florida in the summer or in the winter. So you get to hear the Canadians, eh?
Yeah.
How you doing, eh? What? The first time we went to Canada, I was younger. Again, I'm a little scrawny, short runt, and everyone's like, listen. I was probably 14, 15, and they're like, don't start with your attitude when you hear them say A. I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, they say A after everything. And I was like, what are you talking about? I didn't understand until we were skating with all these Canadians, and they're asking you, like, where are you from, eh?
Yeah.
And you're like, Michigan.
Well, that movie, have you seen Strange Brew?
No, I have not.
It's very much over exaggerated in that movie, but yeah, I knew about the A thing from that movie, and it's an early '80s movie, I think. So I was always aware.
It's exaggerated because it is very prominent when they talk.
Oh yeah, it is, but I think in that movie, I think they overdo it a little bit. But,
yeah. It's interesting, but then again, like someone like you is probably like you've never been to Mexico. I'm assuming you've probably gone to Mexico before.
Oh yeah, I think the family has a cabin in Rocky Point.
Okay.
It's crazy because when I was a kid, it used to be a far distance to the ocean, and now it's like almost right in front of the place. It's pretty crazy. So, like I've seen some pictures, and it's just like right there. I like wondering if it's going to get swallowed up pretty soon. But
all right. So obviously, this was growing up. Like you didn't have any connection at one toy line. Sounds like you.
Well, after that Christmas when I did get the castle and those figures, that was what I was hooked to.
Okay.
That was my big main line at first. So that was my first big main line, and I collected. I just recently looked up a list of all the figures that had come out, and I almost had all of them, and I didn't even realize it. I cut it off. I stopped I was missing some of the Snake Man, and I didn't have the movie characters. But
awful.
But I had the two castles. I had all the characters. That was just that was what I started with, and then it kind of moved into GI Joe, and then GI Joe and Transformers was together.
So, like, then were you collecting GI Joe? I mean, it's not really collecting back then, you know. Yeah. So, were you playing with GI Joe a lot, like when you were like towards the beginning in '82, or was it a little bit later?
Well, when I first saw GI Joe figures, there was a friend of my mom's, and she had two kids. I think they were teenagers. They might have been. I think they were in their teenagers, but the guy had like his room. If you saw his room, it just looks like a regular bedroom. Like it didn't. Wouldn't even think there's toys in there, but he had all the original GI Joes, the ones with that didn't swivel.
Straight arms.
Yeah, was it 13 of them? Or anyway, he had all of them, and the way he had them set up is because the room looked really nice, and he had a bookcase, and they were on a shelf, and they were all standing like in position. They were on stands, and he had them all in these different positions. And just seeing that, I just thought that was the coolest way to display action figures. So ever since then, when I was at my house, when I was supposed to put my toys away, I would set them up on my dresser, and it would take like an hour. And I'd have little dioramas on my dresser. Or I didn't even use my toy box anymore. I just made sure everybody was standing up, everybody was like posed. And ever since seeing that, and I remembered because I was asking about him because I didn't know what GI Joe was, and right away I was like focused on Snake Eyes because I just thought he was cool, and just that all black and that mysterious look. And he tells me, he's like, oh yeah, his name's Snake Eyes. And then again, like as a kid, without any reference, I just thought he physically had the eyes of a snake. I'm like, oh, he's creepy, It's like that's why he wears the mask, because he's gross. But no. But I started getting comic books, and I see my cousins had all those toys because they were at the the UHF level, and then with their antenna, and then I kind of climbed up to cable. So I finally got to see all the shows, and I saw the comics, and so I finally figured out what was exactly how the stories went, and I know they had the little comics, but who reads,
Well, even now, like all the Motu comes with all these mini comics.
Yeah.
And I've read through a couple of them, but I got the Duplico, and I'm like, I'm gonna read through this, and I'm like, I said to myself, I don't know, maybe half year ago, like 6 months ago, I'm like, I'm gonna read through all those comics and see like what it says, because I read a couple of them at the beginning.
Yeah,
they're all put away. I'm not gonna pull them out. I know I'm not going to. I don't even know why I thought that to myself.
So yeah, with GI Joe, that was my first experience with it, and I wasn't collecting them, or I wasn't getting any of them then. And then later on, I went with my dad over to where my brother was at, and he had the exact same ones that I just saw, all nice and on a shelf. He had them lined up on a hill, and he was shooting them with BB gun. So he was like destroying all of them. And I was watching. I was like, "You're stupid." So I had the one kid. Everything was on the shelf and looked really nice. And then with him, I just knew I never wanted to destroy my own toys. So those were the two big GI Joe moments of my life before I even started getting them. And it wasn't until I changed schools, or that school, everybody was into GI Joe, so it just kind of took off from there. And so I switched from Masters of the Universe, and then GI Joe was my main line.
Yeah, obviously your toys would get broken from playing with them. The first kid that I played G.I. Joe with, he would always stun people. We never killed anyone. We always stunned people. And he always had shields for his. He was like a year older. And that's how I played. And then I met this one kid that would become my best friend throughout like elementary school and middle school. And I remember the first time we were playing, I'm like, "Oh, I stunned you." He's like, "You didn't stun him. He's dead." And he's like, threw him. I'm like, and it was like this whole new way to play.
Yeah.
And he would destroy like that one just he would smash his stuff around.
Oh
So
yeah.
if we
Yeah,
both
I
had
knew
the
one
same
kid that
vehicle,
he would sail his vehicles off of a cliff and they'd come
yes,
apart and
down the stairs, and I would
yeah.
like take mine down. The only thing that he wouldn't do that with was the Night Raven. That was
Oh.
the only vehicle, and I don't blame him.
Well, the Night Raven could break on its own without even touching it. So I don't know how many times I glued that trap door back in. You know.
Mine never. Well, the wheels ended up breaking.
No.
It's actually how I found out who Retro Blasting was. Was I was looking for a way to repair certain things, and that's how I actually came across. He was redoing a Night Raven, and I was like, didn't really help me because what I had that needed to be fixed, he didn't have it.
No.
I had to get another shell and figure out how to make the landing gear work again. So I'm like, I'm gonna make videos of this, and I actually think I did. I did put a video out there. God, that's old. I gotta look for that. Where that one's at.
The Night Raven was never recolored, was it?
It was silver.
Oh, okay.
Someone will say the Ghost Raven or something like that for G.I. Joe. I think that's the only time that it was done. It was chromed out.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I don't think.
Yeah, I remember that line now.
And I don't
everything
think
was
that
chrome.
It had the shuttle or whatever that is.
Yeah. The thing about G.I. Joes, they were so cheap.
Sky Patrol.
Sky Patrol, yeah. They were so cheap, so I wouldn't spend my lunch money on food at school. And so when I was younger, I would walk to school and I would stop at Circle K and I would get Garbage Pail Kids and some drinks and then it changed to Ninja Turtle pies and some sodas. And so I saved a lot of my because my dad gave me cash for everything. So it was like, you're going to school, here's your lunch money. I'm like, okay, well, that's G.I. Joe money. And then
I love it.
And then I would get a $20 a week allowance, and that was a lot of G.I. Joes, plus the money that I ended up collecting everything. I had all the figures. One of my friends gave me a book recently, and it's a book that shows all the different figures that had come out.
Yep.
And I opened the book, and the first 2 pages, I had everything on that page. I was like, this sucks because I don't have that stuff anymore. And then I closed it and I opened it up again, and I had everything that were on those 2 pages. That book really depressed me.
I go through that book. I mean, I have 2 different books. Yeah, it's probably one of those. There's the hardcover one. That's $300 now.
Yeah, I saw that. I couldn't believe that. Like, I think when
it was actually expensive. It was in the hundreds when I got it.
Yeah.
And I had found it at the bookstore. There's something on my glasses that's like right in the middle. Like Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
But they were still selling it at the cover price of like $35.
I think when my friend got it for me, I think she only paid like $20 or $30 for it.
Yeah, I sent it over to my ex, and I'm like, get this for me for my birthday from the kids. Like, if you want to get me something from them, here it is. Like, get this.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's $150, I think, right now. And I think it's even more than that now. And that's the 3rd edition, too. I don't know how you can keep updating the editions. The figures.
I think mine is 3rd, yeah.
Yeah, the figures haven't changed. But yeah, I actually went. I would have to redo it again, but I was taking sticky notes, and I was writing down what figures I have, which ones are complete, what I have and what I don't. And I think I got through about 1/3 of it, and the book started going here and just getting wider because there's so many, stickies inside of it.
I never realized how much stuff I had, and it's just, things disappear.
Yeah, like I said, like G.I. Joe is the only stuff that I don't know what happened to everything else. I mean, G.I. Joe was my biggest thing, but I had some Motu. I had Transformers. I know what happened to my Star Wars because I killed them all. I had some masks. I have no idea what happened to it. My dad would not have just gotten rid of them. But I probably
traded them off or something, but But besides Motu and GI Joe, I did have a couple of things here and there. Like I had a couple of Thundercats, but I never. This is going to be kind of strange, but you know how like I had the Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters, from the cartoon. I had the 4 Ghostbusters, the Ecto one, and the Firehouse, and then I had a couple of ghosts. But I don't like multiple versions of the same character, and I hate repaints. It's something that I always had, even with Masters of the Universe, because I had like the Battle Armor He-Man and I had the Thunder Punch He-Man or whatever, only because I got them as gifts for Christmas and stuff. But I just liked Skeletor and I liked He-Man, and that was it. And so with Ghostbusters, they had the Fright Features ones and the ones with they scream and their eyes bug out and stuff. I hated all of that. I didn't want any of that. I just wanted the 4, and that was it. So I never really completed an entire line because of that. And I don't know why. I just don't.
I don't think you're the only person that thinks like that.
Yeah.
No, I think maybe like if you didn't like having the other figures because of that. Well, I know a lot of people won't. Like I talked to Tony about like all his customs, and he's like, yeah, when like the when Classified creates one, I will mess with it, but usually that custom of mine gets put back in the fodder. And I'm like, you don't have like you wouldn't have both your Airborns up on the shelf. He's like, no. Like to me, I don't care. Like, I mean, obviously I wouldn't have them like in my display right next to each other.
Yeah, I think I only made 1 custom figure in my whole life.
Well, and the G.I. Joes though.
Well, so back when the Master Universe, when they were around, they didn't have a sorceress for the longest time, and I wanted a sorceress, so I took the orange bird.
Yeah.
I forgot its name.
I was just looking at it.
Yeah. Anyway, I took the bird and I sawed its head off, and I put a groove underneath the neck so it would fit on Tila's head, and then I glued the wings to her back. So that was my sorceress. Looked horrible, but I loved it. Zora, yeah. And so she's standing there, this bird on her head with these wings that go straight out. It was stupid, but I never did get the actual one that came out because I think I was done with them by then. But and I just noticed, Mossman just came out, the Origins one.
I've been looking for it. I can't find it yet.
Well, when I was a kid, I had the original Mossman, and then I had those accessory packs that used to come with different weapons, but they were different colors. And I had that yellow Beastman armor, and I put that on my Mossman, and I thought they looked really cool. And now, all these years later, that's a reality.
That is so funny that you say that, because today, in one of the Motu groups that I'm in on Facebook, someone had posted like that Mossman, and he said. And they said, "Can someone answer me why, like why this has the yellow Beastman? Like, where did this all come from?" And I think a lot of people did that because they talked about the Wundar, that he was the same way. Like, that's why it's the brown, is because they used the old He-Man stuff where he really didn't have that to begin with. There was a couple things that they talked about. I wasn't really into Motu. A friend of mine, he had all the Motu stuff. I didn't even realize they had accessory packs like G.I. Joe.
They were always the stupidest colors too, like bright blue or pink, and
so was the G.I. Joe ones.
Yeah, the G.I. Joe accessory pack that had the Scrap Irons rocket set, but it was red instead of black. I gave him both of them. He had them handles. I thought that was cool, but
that was the one I had for the longest time.
Yeah.
Until I just, in the past probably 6 or 7 years, bought another Scrap Iron. Like, I still have my old my original Scrap Iron. Actually, I might have actually sold them. But I had him with the red because I had lost the original along with his blue pistol, because the accessory pack was blue.
Yeah.
The real one was blue.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were always the weirdest colors with it.
Yep.
Like, you're not going to get away with trying to fake this as an original.
But who would have even thought of it back then? Like, Kids
Well,
weren't thinking like,
it's so much different the way like with my video games. Like when I was getting them, nobody wanted them, and now everybody wants them. But when you're a kid, that stuff just gets thrown away.
yeah. Well,
But
quick, I want to address random diorama right here. So, random, like this show here, I just talked with another person in my community. We don't really talk too much about what's going on in the toy world right now. Monday, I definitely will be addressing the Cat Slayer. I will say right now that I will definitely not be getting it because it's Super 7 and $750. But their crowdfund, whatever it is, of that G.I. Joe Ultimate, the Ultimates, well, not Ultimates, G.I. Joe Reaction. It's on a plane, but it's like a plane from the original cartoon. Is very intriguing when I see how much it's going to cost. I don't know if you've seen that one yet, Tom.
what is it?
So Super 7 right now has, that big flying plane at the beginning of the cartoon, the G.I. Joe cartoon. It has the big
yeah,
and everything.
Yeah.
They're going to be crowdfunding that for reaction size.
Oh, that's interesting.
But it's going to come with two flight pods, 2 trouble bubbles.
You know what I used to like on the Master Universe cartoon was I think it was a ship that Skeletor had that kind of looked like a skull or a bug, and they never made that. And I saw that might be coming out for Origins. Yeah, it looks like a bug.
Well, what does it look like again?
Like I don't know. I never knew what it was called, but it was like their ship in the show. And
all right, so obviously that's what you were into. So about what age did you start, or was there an age that you started kind of putting the toys away and getting?
Well, it would have been in the middle '90s, but there was a time where I really, I used to go to comic book stores a lot, and I used to draw aliens, Sigourney Weaver aliens. I used to draw them all the time, and I'd be sitting in class and I would draw aliens, and so when the comics started coming out, the Dark Horse comics, I was getting those, and I used to hang out at this place called it was called Atomic Comics, and I used to hang out there all the time, and that's when I first saw the first Ninja Turtle book. And I bought that just because I thought it was weird, Ninja Turtles, And so I had that book before, the cartoon came out, before the toys came out. So I just really got into the Ninja Turtles from that point on. But when I first saw the toys, I didn't understand why they were all different colors. They were all different shades of green, and they all did different bandanas because I just knew them as light green with the red bandanas. And it was at the store. It's called Smitty's. It's kind of like Walmart. But
look at this.
Yeah, I bought.
Johnny Reno says he worked at Atomic Comics.
No, really cool. Yeah, over by Metro Center. But yeah, so I bought 4 Raphaels, and then the other 3 turtles, and I put all their weapons on the other Raphaels just so they were all red. Because I thought it was dumb that they were different colors. Like I didn't understand that until the cartoon came out, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So then I moved them back, and then I had 3 Raphaels. But yeah. So before they became big, I had customized 4 red turtles, and then now they just went nuts. What has it been? 30 years now, and they're still going. But
yeah, I think if you start a toy company, you get the TMNT toy line automatically. Like I think you have the file to not get one.
Yeah. That's the crazy thing about there's so many companies doing turtles, and at first I saw the Super 7 ones, the Ultimates, and I didn't really like them because all they did was they just took the Playmates ones and made them bigger,
Yeah.
And I just thought that was boring, But but I'm into that now. Now I have the NECA ones. That's what I'm currently collecting. So.
But the NECA doesn't do the cartoon. They don't do the Playmates, right?
No, they do the cartoon looking ones.
Okay.
I'm looking at them too. They're all right there.
Because Super 7 is doing solely the Playmates one, right?
Yeah, but then at the same time, they look like the original Playmates, but then they also have ones that they designed on their own, like that. So they're not really consistent. So they're looking retro, but then they look customized, and I hate them. But yeah, it was well before, because I have NECA Ninja Turtles now, but this is before that. We're going back to when I was getting out of stuff. So during the middle 90s, I did have Ninja Turtles, and I had a bunch of them. But again, I didn't have duplicates of the same character. Or variations. Like I didn't have the samurai ones or anything. But around that time, it was 94, 95-ish. And I started, because I grew up a Nintendo kid. I always had Nintendo systems, and all my friends, they were always Nintendo. So back then, when the Nintendo was out, and then the Super Nintendo was coming out, the Nintendo stuff was like hated. It's old, nobody wants it, and they were like, you can get them for dirt cheap. And so I started gathering stuff because of that. And then instead of discarding the old stuff, I was just collecting everybody's stuff that they were getting rid of. And then I used to live in a town where there was thrift stores and video stores all around me, and I used to check them out every day and just find really good deals and stuff that I would either keep or sell. And it was just so much different back then because nobody cared about any of the old stuff. So I just started gathering them and keeping them for myself. And
I threw all my Nintendo away. I threw my Nintendo and all the cartridges away because it really wasn't working. And this is after. This would have been after I moved in here. So in the past 16 years, and I didn't really know resale, anything like that. And now I look at the Nintendo system and all the games, and I'm like,
well, yeah. See, the resale, it just wasn't a term yet. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
And so like I said, I grew up a Nintendo kid, but I was always interested in what everybody else was doing. Like I saw games coming out for the Sega, and I was like, oh, I want to play that, but I can't. Because
Altered Beast.
Yeah, Altered Beast. I got a really cool Altered Beast picture over here. It's a lenticular. So when you move your changes from a person to a wolf, so yeah, I would go to.
Like Altered, like my buddy had had Sega.
Yeah.
Well, he had everything, but he also had Sega. And I remember I was so jealous. I didn't say jealous, so mad that Altered Beast wasn't on Nintendo.
Yeah.
Because there was no way that I was getting my dad to buy me Sega and Nintendo. And then, Super Nintendo comes out and you're able to get that. There's no way that I was getting Genesis to go with that. My buddy had them all. And I just remember there were some really good games on Sega.
Yeah, I used to always see them in magazines because I was really big in the arcades too, and they had a lot of the arcade games, and I would just look in the magazines like, I want to play that, but I can't. The only person I knew that had a Sega Genesis, he had Altered Beast, and then the rest were just sports games. And I'm like, I don't want to play sports games.
Yeah, everyone said like they were better for sports.
Yeah,
but again, like you don't really think. When someone says, "Oh, they do all the arcade games," that's when you start noticing on the arcade cabinets, Sega is on every single one of them.
Oh yeah. They were big. So I feel, and the funny, the weirdest thing to me when I was collecting games is the first time, like when Sega died, and then he was on the cover of Nintendo Power. I just thought that was the weirdest thing in the world. I just couldn't believe that.
The NES Pro Wrestling. That's the one with the guy with the star.
The Starman? Yeah.
Oh my god, that game's so. Oh my god, so many hours.
I used to pick the Amazon. I think he was called, the little creature from the Black Lagoon.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what? I don't have that game. It's weird.
Yeah, I remember because my mom passed away when I was 13. So.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So shortly before that, we had got Final Fantasy when it came out.
Oh yeah.
And myself and my two buddies that were really big gamers. Like, I was a decent gamer when I played, but these guys, even to this day, I guarantee you they still play. We played Final Fantasy for almost 4 days straight.
Oh wow.
We were literally like play it on the living room TV, and then we take it downstairs, and I'm playing on my black and white TV when my parents were home or whatever. And they ended up going home, and I ended up beating the game.
Oh wow.
But I never saw the main villain in black and white, or I mean in color.
Oh, in color.
I only saw it in black and white because I had it on black and white TV.
Yeah, the first time I played Contra, I was at my friend's house, and it was a 13-inch black and white. You know, there was 4 of us in the room. I don't even remember what I looked at.
But do you remember Final Fantasy?
I have a different memory than you. So one of my friends, he's like, "Hey, I got Final Fantasy." I'm like, "Well, I don't know what that is." So it was at lunchtime. We went across the street, and it was high school, so we could leave the campus. And I didn't get into it. Because you know you have your character, you have the bad guy, and then you're up here in a block, and then they walk up and they like swing a sword. And I just thought that was boring, but but later on when newer games like that had come out, I really got into them. But that first one,
So Final Fantasy, we played it for days. Now, my one buddy lived in the same neighborhood I did. My other one, we all went to the same high school, but we were in different middle schools. So he lived fairly far away. So he rode his bike home, which was down the main street to his main street. So he was a good 5 miles away, I would say, riding his bike. And he left in the morning, and he said, it's funny that you said that. He goes, I just remember riding, and it's like 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm riding my bike home, and the whole way, all I could see is little people coming out, doing this, and then coming back. That's what.
Yeah.
and like, we all saw it, but I was not riding a bike. All I saw the whole time.
I hope he didn't give you the pink eye.
Nope, not yet. Trying.
So that's Cosmo.
But that is funny that you brought that up, because that's actually what I was gonna say. Like, he just remembers the whole time coming up and then coming back.
Yeah,
I was like the mage,
and then numbers pop up. I'm like, ooh, he lost 20 numbers.
Oh, that is awesome.
But I did like Final Fantasy 3, which I guess is 6, and Chrono Trigger stuff. Like, I did like a lot of those games, but they're just not the type that I never gravitate towards. So I just don't have time. I don't have time to play an RPG anymore.
Yeah, well, now I mean, I don't even like. My son was surprised to find out when I picked up. It was right at the beginning of the pandemic. I had ordered Tony Hawk 1 and 2.
Oh yeah.
So we could play it, and he hated it.
Yeah.
And he was so surprised that I could play video games. And I'm like, I used to play video games. I don't have time. I get lost in them. And I don't have time to really get involved in that. That's why I don't even want to pick it up.
Yeah.
I do keep bugging my daughter, like, what are you doing with that Switch of yours that I've never seen you play? It's at Mom's. I'm like, why don't you bring it over so we can hook it up, because it has all the old games.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's what I need. I will never leave my house.
I like the Switch. The border is my Switch collection.
Yes. Yeah. That's why I thought it was like very appropriate for what we had.
Yeah, but yeah. So I just would just find stuff. Yeah. Video stores that were closing. I would just get stuff cheap. But I feel like that I had already collected what I have. Like, I don't try to get stuff now.
Okay.
Like, I'll know what's expensive, I'll know what's worth money, but I don't go out of my way to get it. Like, anybody can go to eBay right now and just search for something and then buy it. Yeah. Like, I like to find them. I like to hunt for them and stuff.
You know, I with the Tiger Force and Python Patrol stuff coming out, getting the Black Widow.
Oh yeah.
Finding
that was a cool looking Black Widow.
Yeah, I do like it. finding Duplicate, I'm like, I really do like the hunt. What I
Yeah.
hate is going to stores knowing that I'm walking in, there's not going to be anything.
Oh yeah.
That's what gets
Like
frustrating.
I go into I work at I'm a vendor for Walmart, and I used to work in Sam's Club, but they stopped. But so I'm in 3 or 4 Walmarts every day, except for my 2 days off, and I rarely find stuff. And if I do, a lot of people are like, "Hey, can you look for this for me?" And I'll find their stuff, but I don't find anything that I want. Like they still have, like, the Walmarts around me. They have Gung Ho and Lady J, and that's every store. And I feel like that, when I'm in that store, they're hanging there, and then when I'm leaving, they grab them real quick and they take them to the other store, because it's the same stock everywhere.
I actually saw Destro and the Baroness on pegs at one of the Walmarts here.
Oh yeah, I saw Destro at one of them, but I already have the other one. So
I just never seen him there. I always see Lady Jane Gung Ho.
Yeah.
And then I saw Destro sitting there, and then I saw Baroness. I'm like, I mean, I have them, but I just haven't seen them sitting on pegs, and they had a lot.
The most recent ones that I saw in the store were the Spirit, whatever wave the Spirit came out.
Yeah, that's funny.
Zorana. That's the most recent ones that I saw at Walmart. I've been finding my classifieds at GameStops, and I never go to GameStop. I just wander in there and it's like, oh crap, they got classifieds.
Someone else just told me that that's where they got Shipwreck.
Yeah,
I think they said Shipwreck, Torpedo, and Scrap Iron. And I was like,
oh, okay, yeah. A few weeks ago, I found CoverGirl, then Falcon, and then last week I found Rock and Roll and Bazooka. And so yeah, that's where I've been finding. And they have, I used to collect Transformers too, but they have a lot of the new ones, but I stopped collecting those.
The only thing that I've found the only thing that I've ever found in GameStop was the Cobra Infantry.
Oh yeah.
And I was all over, and I just remember the guys like, oh yeah, it says they have one at this store, and it was literally about 12 miles straight down. And I'm like, you know what? I'm already headed that way. I happen to have a half day off of work for some reason.
Oh, cool.
Like, can you ask them to hold it? I'm like, yep. The only other time I've seen the infantry is in like specialty stores, and like a couple of those specialty stores in the mall where they're like twice as much as they're supposed to be.
Oh wow. Yeah. Usually GameStops, I find a lot of disappointment. So lately, finding some classifieds have been pretty good. So
disappointment.
But before I got into classified, Transformers started coming out with the G1. They looked like the War for Cybertron series. They kind of looked like the G1 characters, and I saw. I don't know. I just thought they were awesome, so I started getting them, and then I started getting the rest of them, and I started getting more, and I ended up owning the entire trilogy, the War for Cybertron. I had all the mail-aways. I had all the exclusives. I had everything, and my room behind me it's a Transformers room. It's totally dedicated to Transformers, and then it was right around the pandemic. Stuff started changing colors, like they were fading, or they were turning yellow or turning brown, and people were saying, it was like, well, you live in Arizona, that's why. And like, if that was the reason, everything in my house would be yellow. Like, I mean, even me, I'm half Korean, so, and so I'm kind of an off-white myself. So, but yeah, so they started, and it was the toys that came out. It was the Earthrise and the Kingdom and the Netflix characters. And they were turning brown, and then I call it the pandemic plastic. It's the cheap plastic. It's not just me. I saw people in Canada showing pictures and stuff had turned yellow, and I just couldn't stand that. It just looks. I understand toys age, but it usually takes 10 or 15 years.
You don't
not
expect
2 months.
You don't expect in 6 months to be.
Yeah, and then I realized that I had so many Transformers that there was characters that I had no connection to at all. Like I had all the Beast characters. I don't know Beast Wars, and I was kind of relying on the Netflix show to like introduce me to these characters. That Netflix show was terrible. Like I probably could have done better with the toys on my shelf with like strings and made them marionettes or something. But
I like the Netflix show.
So it started out really good. See, the way that the toy trilogy was, it was Siege and then Earthrise and then Kingdom, and they changed, like they turned into Earth vehicles, but they never did that in the show. And then they didn't even get to Earth. It's called Earthrise. They didn't even get to Earth. The last episode was when they finally started landing, and they were already showing the Beast characters, and so that really didn't get me into them at all. So, one of my friends, one of my favorite characters when I was a kid from GI Joe was Crocmaster. I just thought he was really cool looking, and I used to look at these comic books that would show all the new characters that were coming out. They always had profiles of new characters. And the way Crocmaster looked, I thought he was awesome. So he was one of my childhood favorites. And when the Classified came out, she's like, "Oh, you should get them." I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to start another line of toys, right?" And she's like, "But he's your favorite." And I'm like, "It doesn't matter. There's a lot of favorites in the world. I don't have to get them." And so she got them for me for, I think it was Christmas or my birthday or something. She sent them to me. I was like, "Ah, dang it." And then I'm looking at him. He was just awesome. So of course I had to get Storm Shadow. I had to get Snake. And now I have like 40 or 50 of them. So I started selling Transformers to get these GI Joes, because some of them were of course like Major Blood. When I had to get him, he was like $60, and Firefly was expensive. So selling and trading off my Transformers I didn't care about, it was kind of like an even trade. It was pretty cool. So I ended up with I have a bunch of Classifieds, and they're on the shelves where the Transformers used to be.
And it's interesting you say that, because I was actually talking to Bees Battleground today, and I said I think I'm pretty much out of Action Force. Yeah. I'll still be nitpicking, but it was like the whole reason why I started collecting the Action Force and why I started doing reviews, which I've talked about, was because everyone said they were either the worst figures or the greatest figures. But I wanted something. I needed more figures for, the Classified, for that display. And now there's just so many Classified figures.
Yeah.
And I have no like what you were saying about like those Transformers that you're looking at that you have no connection. It's like I have no connection to any of these Action Force figures.
Oh yeah.
Even though some of them I think look absolutely awesome.
Yeah, there was things that I thought were cool. Like the Beast characters do look cool. I like the Tiger guy. Of course, he turned yellow. and then I had the purple T-Rex Megatron. I thought he was cool, but yeah, they were easy. They were hard, but then easy to get rid of. So,
I think as an adult, it's easier to get rid of stuff you don't have an attachment to.
Yeah.
As an adult, I also hate doing it because it's like I gotta get everything together. I gotta find the weapons and where they're at, because they've been, especially with the Action Force,
I keep everything in little bags.
Joe figures. They're in bands. That stupid that vase of Valahans that I thought was going to be awesome, and now I realize if I want to sell them, I got to figure out what hands they were. I sold 3 figures. I had to figure out which hands they also.
I have a Ninja Turtle lunchbox full of turtle hands from the NECA.
Good luck if you want to sell them.
So after Serpentor and Dr. Mindbender, it kind of got slow. So then with everything else that I sold, I started getting the NECA line of Ninja Turtles is what I settled on, because there's so many companies. Like I said, there's Super 7, there's Mezco, there's all these different companies, and even Playmates came back with Ninja Turtles. So
yeah,
I stuck with the Toon line for them, and so I think I'm done now until something new comes out.
Yeah, again, it's always hard because I'm like I'm all in on gargoyles. They just showed, the Xanatos.
Gargoyles. I'm aware of Gargoyles, but I never watched it. I
I
don't know
don't.
why I never watched it.
I watched it, but I don't remember it. Like looking at everything, I'm like I remember bits of it. But I
Yeah,
watched it all. I also collected the gargoyles. It wasn't even as a kid. It would have been as a young adult.
yeah,
Bronx is the only original one that I still have, and when I saw
yeah.
them, I'm like,
Bronx was my favorite. um,
he was fun.
when I used to work, I worked at Target, and there was a Bronx alarm clock. It was just a clock with a Bronx on the top, and it was clearanced. It was like $10, and it was clearance for 5. And I was like, "That's a cool looking clock. I just want them because I like Bronx, right?" And I threw it under the counter, and I forgot about it for like a year. And so then we were cleaning out underneath the cabinets and underneath the cupboards. Like, oh crap, is that clock? And I scanned it, and it was 25 cents because their clearance used to automatically go down, but at Walmart you got to manually do it. But yeah, so so I got that clock. I still have it now. It's 25 cents.
Well, it's funny because I've thought like when the whole toy craze, collecting craze was super hot during the pandemic.
Yeah.
People started going, oh, going to the Target aisles and lift up the bottom.
Oh yeah.
Like that's where people throw their stuff, and I would look it up, and I'm like, oh yeah, that Wonder Woman must be like worth money, or someone's waiting for it. I'd take it out and I put it back up because I'm like, screw you.
There was one time at Kmart. This had to have been what happened, but I think they found a Storm Shadow that was underneath a deck plate because it was the original Storm Shadow. The card was in perfect shape, and I found it at the time when I can't remember what series it was. I think the guy's name was Maverick. It was like a space. They had that base with the bubble pod in the front.
That would have been after my time, but that would have been late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, but it was that far along when there was a mint Storm Shadow hanging on the shelf. Wow. And I just thought that was the craziest thing. Like it had to have been found in the back or something, but yeah, I bought that. And
but yeah, he was aside and it's just sitting there.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll look under the deck plate sometimes. And I
always feel weird because I don't want someone coming in and looking at me. I'm like, oh, I'm trying to help you guys out. And if I see something that
I always feel suspicious. Like one time I was at a Target, and this guy walked up to me, and I knew him from he did security at the Walmart that I used to work at, and he came up. He was like, I was watching you before I figured out who you were. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, the way you were like kind of coming back and forth, different things, and picking up stuff and putting them down and looking under the shelves. And like, oh yeah, I guess I felt suspicious because I was. He came out of his booth just to tell me he thought it was funny. So.
We have a store here named Meijer.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, I mean, it's like Walmart except nicer and not as nice as Target. But it used to be 24 hours. It's based out of Michigan. So it used to be 24 hours to the pandemic. But we would hang out there at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And there used to be what we would call them secret agent Meijers. They were the secret shoppers.
Oh yeah.
And for a while they would follow us. And then finally they realized like we weren't stealing stuff because we would fake steal stuff that was just way too big to steal.
Yeah.
And there's sometimes we would chase the guys around, and one guy turns around and goes, "Dude, I have to do a job. Can you guys just stop?" But we walked in one day, and I remember my buddy, those earring racks that are just sitting on the counters there?
Yeah.
The guy was standing there, and he just happened to look over. My buddy he grabs it, and he lifts up his jacket, and he's like this. He goes like he's putting it in there, and the guy's like, "Dude, can you just stop?"
That's funny. Me and a friend of mine got kicked out of a Toys R Us once, but we they had these army helmets, these little plastic army helmets, and we put them on, and then we started headbutting each other. And I was taking my helmet off, and he hit me in the hand, and I kind of threw it, so that made a noise. And remember Stretch Armstrong's dog?
No, but I remember Stretch Armstrong.
Well, Stretch Armstrong, these guys are like rubber and you can pull them. You had a
I
dog.
remember Stretch Armstrong, yeah.
I don't know what the dog's name was, but I put the dog in the middle of the aisle and I surrounded him with these plastic wolves and I left it there. And they told us to stop messing around. So, but I thought it was cool because they cornered them, all these little wolves. And but yeah, shenanigans are fun, It's
especially when you're like in that tweener age where it's like.
No, I think we were in our 20s.
Well, that's what I mean. Like you're still in that age where it's like you wouldn't let a girl know that you collect toys. You might let your buddies at that time.
Yeah.
But you still, if you meet a girl, that's not gonna be one of the first things you bring up. I collect toys. They'd be like, all right, well, goodbye.
You just got to turn on the light and let them see it.
All right. So as you got older, obviously, I would assume you probably got out of toys like most of us. Was there?
Well, I did, but then I didn't because, like I said, I was focused on video games, but I did have, I did buy a few action figures and stuff, but nothing too. Do you know the Tick? Remember the Tick?
Yes, I loved it.
So
I remember watching the Tick and enjoying.
My grandma, she gave me all of her Star Wars figures, and she found them at swap meets and stuff. So they were all well used, and of course, us kids played with them all the time. So they weren't in the best shape. But there was one character that I never really liked, and I never played with him. So he was kind of minty. And because he's not a character that was actually in the movie, he was called Snaggletooth.
Okay.
So he was a little guy, but the one that I had, he was tall and he had a blue suit. And I took him to this toy store just to see if they're worth anything. And when they saw that, they called him the Blue Snaggletooth. They said that this one is rare. And I'm like, really? He's stupid. And so they kept offering me all this stuff for it, and I ended up with trade credit. And I got the entire toy line of the Tick. I got everything from that trade, and then I had some left over. And I don't know what I used to be into Spawn, but then I gave them all away. But yeah, just that one Star Wars figure funded the entire Tick line, and I still have those. But.
I had all those original Spawn figures.
Yeah.
Now, this was not as a kid. This was as a young adult collector. I think I sold them maybe when I was laid off or right after 9/11 because I was laid off the day before. I was laid off Friday. 9/11 happened Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
So you got to get rid of stuff because now you're worried about getting a job. The only Spawn figures that I have left are the one that I have open.
Yeah.
Which is a regular Spawn. And then I have still in the package is beat up is the Meathead that has that has his face tied up from Batman's Batarang. Yeah. Which I mentioned a couple weeks ago about how they need to do a Batman Spawn 2-pack with that. And he just showed off a Spawn Batman 2-pack. Now it's
they're watching this.
Now if he gives me one with a hamburger head where he's got the Batarang and with an alternate head, I might pick that up.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, I used to have I think it was the first 3 or 4 lines of or series of Spawn. I used to have all of them.
Yes, Viper Scout, they were plastic statues, but the sculpt on the originals were so good.
I hated how they were statues. They had one position. And yeah, you could, like, one of their arms would be out like this, and then you could turn it. That's not really articulation, It's always out, but no, you can go like this. And it's like they molded the thing, and then they cut the arms and legs off and put pivots in them, So. And sometimes I don't know if it's an Arizona thing, but they'd be melted. Their legs would always be crooked or something, or maybe that was just the way they were made everywhere, but. You can never stand them up straight.
I don't think it's an Arizona thing as much as I know I would find sometimes I end up running into something like that now in the summer here.
Yeah.
don't really see that in the winter, obviously. But kind of the same thing, like because again, like yeah, it may only be like 90 or 93 here, but when it's sitting in a crate,
Yeah.
I don't know if 100, 115 degrees inside a crate is that much different than 95 degrees in a crate with the humidity, with sun beating on.
Well, there was this one time, one of my friends, he worked in the toy department at Target, and I was looking for the Max. It was Sam.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I wanted the Max, and he was looking for, I think it's Silverhawk. Is his name Silverhawk? Anyway, he got the case, and he put it in the cart, and I'm all the way over in Housewares, and he works in toys, and he brought this case of Spawn stuff, like where everybody could see. But so we go in the back, and we're opening it up, and I got the Max, and then I swear his name was Silverhawk, but he pulled his out of the case, and the blister fell right off of the box. And you could still smell like it was like the glue was wet or something. The guns fell off of his arms, and yeah, that whole case was damaged. And I didn't understand why.
Viper Scout says Shadowhawk.
Shadowhawk, yeah. So yeah, he was after him, but then the guns fell off of his shoulders right out of the package, and we couldn't even put him out to sell. They had to claims that whole case out, but. I did get my Max, and I still have them now. But yeah, that was just weird how that brand new case and everything just fell apart. No, here we go again.
Now we get the butthole.
I didn't mean that. Well, I call him Pink Eye.
So you obviously got really into video games.
Yeah, a little bit.
I know, like when I first talked to you about doing this, you're like, I don't know if anyone's gonna want to watch, and I was like. Really, I just kind of got back into toys. It doesn't sound like you just got back, but it sounds like you're deeper into toys now. But
yeah, I didn't really get into a main line.
But I'm like, to me, that's interesting because I can see all the stuff in the background. I can see the Super Nintendo, the Nintendo ones.
Yeah.
So you gotta tell me a little bit about this video game collection that you have because.
Well, the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, all the Nintendo stuff was just, my childhood, and I never sold or traded anything. So, and then when my friends were selling their stuff to get the new stuff, I would just get them from them really cheap, and so it just kind of piled up. And then when I started working is when I would stop at different video stores. I would pick up boxes of Sega games. So this is the Nintendo part, and then over here I got a Sega shelf, and then I got a PlayStation shelf and an Xbox shelf, and most of the stuff that I have was just kind of right place, right time kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because it's when people were getting out of the old games, and so I was getting them cheap. I worked right across. There was a Blockbuster right in my street, on the outside of where I worked, and they were always putting their games on sale. They're previously rented games, and I would get a bunch of them. Like this one here, this Clay Fighter. Like this one goes for a little bit. So it goes for a couple, like a grand or so, right? I got it for $14.
Does it really?
Yeah, and yeah, this was. And so yeah, I was getting stuff that nobody wanted really cheap, and if I would, I didn't think that today this game would be worth that much. Anything that I have that's rare is purely by accident, So the way everybody didn't care about the old games, I never thought in the future that people would want this stuff, So
you were just collecting. You were just trying to pick up stuff.
I was just grabbing stuff because it was there.
Wow.
And if there was games that I didn't want, I would sell them or trade them for other things. And there was a bunch of thrift stores around me. I would find complete systems for like $20, and I would clean them up and sell them. And there was one time where there was a Kmart that was closing, and they had 10 of the 32X, the Genesis 32X, and they were on a shelf. There was 10 of them. They were $9 a piece, and nobody bought them. I watched them for 4 or 5 weeks, and nobody bought them. So right before they closed completely, they were all in the shopping cart, and I bought the cart. It was like $90, and I had 10 32Xs.
Now, what's the 32X?
It was an add-on that goes on the Genesis, and it's boosted.
Oh, okay. I know.
It's supposed to boost the games to 32-bit, but
I know exactly what it is. I didn't realize the name of it.
I wasn't being a dirty scalper. I left them there for a month. Nobody wanted it, and so I just bought them all, and then I sold them to buy games for it. So that worked. Yeah. But back then, nobody wanted the old stuff. It was just garbage, and so I took advantage of that and just kept it all and built it all up, and then something happened. I had got congestive heart failure, and that completely changed a lot of stuff for me. So it was weird, because I wasn't feeling good, and my attitude was changing. So I was kind of weird at work and like threatening people and stuff. And it was just weird. So it was because I wasn't getting enough sleep, and I didn't know I had heart trouble. So one day I was at those blood pressure machines that you play with when you're a kid. You stick your arm in there, and so I was at this Walmart, and I was like, I don't feel right, and I went and I sat down in that thing, and they have numbers in that chart. They said this is low, this is high, this is just right.
I know.
When the numbers popped up, they were all in the 900s, and I was like, oh shit. So I went, I drove myself to an urgent care just to see what's up, and they said, you're going to the hospital right now. And I'm like, oh, all right. So I was getting up like I was going to drive myself to the hospital, and they're like, no, we're calling an ambulance. They're taking you right now, because if you come in an ambulance, they'll see you right away, right? So I went in and they did some tests, and yeah, I had my valve like disintegrated. So I thought I wasn't feeling good because I thought I was overweight, and that's not what it was, because the first urgent care, they're like, oh, drink plenty of fluids, which is the worst thing you can do, I guess, when you have congestive heart failure. So I made it worse. And so I had to get heart surgery. And so I stopped working at Walmart. I just started working at Best Buy, and I was hired on full time, so I had benefits right away. And I was only there for a month and a half before I got sent away to get heart surgery. So there was a time where there was a recovery time. I had to sit at home for they said 5 or 6 months to make sure, everything works. Because they said I could just drop dead anytime. I'm like, well, that's nice to know. So I used to have some of my figures and stuff, I used to have them still in the box. Like, I'm not an in-box collector, but I had a lot of stuff that were still in the boxes.
Yeah.
And so I'm just sitting there in my house, and I'm like, this sucks, like what the hell? And so I just got up and I opened everything. I opened everything. I had packages all over the floor. It was these guys, these little amiibos. I used to have them hanging on the wall in the packages, ripped them all apart. And so I was like, what if I do die, and all this stuff is just, nobody's going to know what to do with the stuff. I could make little Post-it notes, say this is worth $10. Nobody's going to care. They're just going to, either throw them all out or give them away, So I opened everything. And the worst one was, I had a Voltron. It was a 25th anniversary Voltron. This is a big box. And he was in the box for 10 years. And I took him out, and I, made the lines, and I made him, and then I put him on the shelf. And the sword fell out of his hand overnight, and my cat chewed it up. He wasn't out of the box for more than like a day, and he was ruined already. But
it's not funny, but I mean,
that's why there's doors now. I didn't have doors up over. This is a den. I turned it into a game room. So when all of this, my game collection stuff was we had a 1-bedroom apartment, and when I got the house, my apartment fit in the den. So I had no furniture, I had nothing, but I had a cool game room. And so getting sick like that is just really scary, because I've never been sick before ever. I never get sick, and all of a sudden I got a heart problem. And so I wasn't working for a while, and that's when I started attacking my my Sega Saturn collection, because some of the games. I mean, I got like $900 from one game one time, and I treated it like a savings account because I didn't have any money saved up, not enough to pay bills and stuff. So yeah, so I collected my Saturn collection from when it was fairly still, it was still alive all the way up until its death. So I had a lot of games, and so that helped me out a lot. But yeah, that's something that I'll never be able to replace because I bought everything at retail, and there's you can't do that now. But that's the only thing from my collection that's gone is my Saturn collection. But that's when I stopped drawing. I stopped doing everything. I don't know. Maybe I got depressed or something, but yeah. But I completely ended everything that I was doing. And I'm thinking about. I want to do it again. I want to get back into stuff again because I don't want to just be a sad doofus. I want to be a regular doofus.
Now, do you have kids? Do you have kids or anything?
Nah, just the cats.
Just the cats? No significant other?
Oh yeah, I got one of those. I've been married 25 years is coming up. In January it'll be 25 years.
So how is she with your support? Like with supporting you with your?
Well, the thing is that they're all in a room that's not in the house, so it hasn't leaked over. So and she's cool about stuff. She doesn't really.
Still costs a lot of money after a while.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is I had a way better job, and and we she has collections too. She has stuff,
okay.
But nothing like what I got, but yeah. So that's the thing. I was like, well, none of it will come into the house, and of course now there's another room full of Transformers. But for 10 years that room was just a junk room, and I would just throw boxes in there, and it just looked like crap all the time, and I wanted to stop that. So now that I themed it, I guess transformed it. Now I keep it clean. So, and it's a guest room. It's only been used twice as a guest room.
So how is your health now? I mean,
they tell me I'm fine. I go get checkups. They, everything healed fine. Everything's working great. I can hear it clicking, like it opens and it closes, so I can hear it. So that's kind of weird.
What do you have?
I got a plastic valve, and they were talking about a pig valve, but I guess those are only temporary. And I thought it would have been cooler to have a pig valve, but no, I got a more expensive one.
And you could have been Pighead from Masters of the Universe.
I'm like a discount Iron Man. But one time they did an X-ray, and I could see it opening and closing while I can hear it. It was just weird to see it in there. It's like
wow.
Yeah, it was really bizarre. The worst thing that I ever did is right after my surgery. I was in the hospital, and of course I was in a lot of pain, and I was like, I wonder what they did. So like a dumbass, I looked it up on the internet and watched a nice little cartoon where they they crack you open and they actually pull your heart out and play with it. So that wasn't the right time to see that.
No. I would say extremely healthy. I have a higher blood pressure, but I think that's because of how much weight I carry. Now my ex, she's had 4 back surgeries, heart surgery, thyroid surgery. She's had so many things. And she's the one that, I mean, all this stuff was pretty much done while we were together. She wants to know. So she's like looking stuff up. And I'm just like, nope. After that, before the first back surgery, the doctor kept we're looking at the MRI and he's explaining it. And I'm looking at it. All I see is black and white. And finally he was like, I don't get it. He goes, well, imagine it's like a jelly donut, and the jelly's coming out of the side, and it's pushing up against the nerve, and that's where all her pain is. He said it's probably the easiest surgery for me to do, but probably the most painful for most people. And we're sitting there, and I go, well, how long is she going to be out of work? And he goes, probably about 6 to 8 weeks. And I go like this. And she said she's sitting there and she's sitting next to me and she looks and she goes, all I'm thinking is like, well, I know it's gonna be kind of rough, but we'll survive. And she said, and then you looked up and you were just white, and you're like, where's the bathroom at? And I just bolted.
Oh wow!
It was like trying to figure this out, and then he explained it. And I have a weak stomach as it is,
Yeah,
surgery and stuff like that. Where she thought I was gonna pass out. When we had the kids like watching, that actually didn't bother me at all. Maybe because there's something that I helped create, but just hearing that, and I've explained that to other people too, and they've kind of been like, "All right, just stop." I'm like, "All right, you have a weak stomach too."
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds awful. But she would go and like look up exactly what she was getting done.
Yeah.
And I'm like you, like I don't listen, dude. I didn't. I had a colonoscopy because I'm 47 now. Last year was the one. I didn't look it up and how they do it. I know. I know enough that you're knocking me out, and that's good enough for me.
Yeah, I gotta do all that stuff too. I mean, I got a dental mirror and a flashlight, but I couldn't do it myself, so I got to go in because I don't know what I'm looking at.
I don't want to. That's what I fix copy machines. I don't expect the doctor to fix it. I don't expect to fix myself. That's what the doctor's for. I will let them. They run the EKG on me every couple years. So my mom died of a heart attack, and everything comes back except for he's like, yeah, you still kind of have high blood pressure, but it's not. He said you have the what? I believe you have white coat syndrome. I believe is what it's called, where you just walk in the moment.
Oh yeah, I know I have that. Like I have that while I'm driving to the place.
Yeah,
because I don't want them to tell me again. Like, oh well, no, something else is going on.
No, you don't. So, okay, so that's kind of your video games. Tell me about this that I knew nothing about. And we talked about it earlier. This whole comic strip thing, because I'm fascinated. And you've deleted it all, or do you?
Yeah, everything. I even got a Chrome extension that would go into deep history of Facebook and delete all my comments and likes. And
do you still have the comics and stuff somewhere?
I have them drawn out. I have them scanned. I've come up with it, and instead of having different stories with the different characters, I'm combining them all because they're all animals anyway. I don't know why they're always animals. So, like there was a cow, and then there was a woodchuck that was raised by rabbits. So he grew up wondering why he didn't have long ears. So he was kind of an outcast. And then, so I'm thinking about just putting them all together as like a group of friends or something,
So where did this whole idea? Where did it come from? Because I'm fascinated by it. Because I do not have an imagination like that.
Well,
I cannot like listen. I can drive all day and I can think of how I'm gonna present YouTube, how I'm gonna do my stream. That stuff I figure out, like logistical stuff like that. I'm good with that. But like when it comes to that, I'm so intrigued with this whole
Well, my dad, he was an artist. I think both my brothers were, and I guess my grandma was too. But my dad used to do these things like he would draw a deer and he would have only one horn and he would stick it on the fridge and he says, draw the other horn. So then I would have to draw the other horn or, stuff like that. And so he kind of taught me different things. And there's this game that he used to play where he would scribble a line, like just scribble just any random shape. And then I would draw something out of it. And some of it, is kind of weird looking. So I would come up with these characters from that. Like the cow was from my sister-in-law when she was really small. I would play that line game with her, and I drew this. It ended up being a saber-tooth tiger biting the head of this cow. And I was like, that cow looks funny. I just thought the cow looked funny, so that's where the cow came from. So it's just random. I'll do just random sketches, and then random. Like I'll be on hold, and I'll just draw a picture. And I was like, oh, I like this character, and so that's pretty much because my dad's side of the family, they were all artists, and the thing about my dad is he used to mess with me. Like he would bring me home like GI Joes, he used to go to yard sales and stuff, and he'd find stuff and he'd bring them to me, but he would give them to me in the weirdest ways. Like one time we were sitting there and he's like, "You stink." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "Were you playing outside all day or something? You stink." I'm like, "What the hell?" So, he says, "Go take a bath or something." So I was like, I'm all hurt, like, "You stink," and and then I opened the curtain and the killer whale's floating in there,
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, like, "Oh, that's cool," and like I'm all depressed and naked and like, "Oh, cool." Like, yeah.
You're wondering if you really did stink.
Yeah, it's like,
but wait, do I stink?
Yeah, I'm like all sad, and then he did that, and then one time he says, "Hey, were you expecting a package?" And like, "I'm not sure." It's like, "Something came for you, but I threw it away." I'm like, "What?" I go dig in the trash, and it was the Super Trooper. Remember that mail away?
I never had it, but yes, I do remember.
Yeah, and thinking about it now, maybe he belonged in the trash. I thought that was one of the worst mailaways I've ever seen. All they did was just put a bunch of characters together and paint them silver, But yeah, he was always, so I had, because of the way I was saving my lunch money and stuff. I would walk to Kmart and I would leave with 4 or 5 figures, and so I built up my collection pretty fast, and I had most of the vehicles. I had the Terrordrome, but I never had the flag, and I don't know why that is. I just never had it.
Because only special people had the flag.
I had the Defiant. I had the Defiant.
That was after my time, or I'm willing to bet I would have had it.
And I had, and of course I had that long base with the jail in the middle. That silver base.
Yeah, the headquarters.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my. I think that was the biggest line of all my childhood was G.I. Joe. And I talked about not wanting duplicates of the same characters. I still had all the Python Patrol, all the Tiger Force. I still had all of those because they were so cheap,
It's funny, like, I never thought about army building Cobra Troopers or Stormtroopers.
I never had anything army built.
Yeah, neither did
I had one Stormtrooper.
I had Shipwrecks army built. We all know.
Oh yeah.
I did have Shipwrecks. I never had more than one Cobra officer, more than one Cobra Trooper growing up. Yeah. I never had multiple Stormtroopers for Star Wars.
I had one Stormtrooper. I had one foot soldier. I had. I just, and even back then they were kind of hard to find. Like I remember not being able to find like foot soldiers, and even now they're all exclusive, which is stupid.
Well, there's someone that was army building, and that's why you couldn't find them.
Yeah, but yeah, I never. That was the only line that I collected most everything for.
So Johnny Reno says the Super Trooper is awesome.
Yeah, he was okay. I just remember everything was chrome. Nothing's chrome anymore.
Yeah. There's no.
Like I noticed the new Mechanic or one of the Mechanics. He's actually got the silver eyes. I couldn't believe they actually did that.
So what is it that you mostly focus on collecting today? I mean,
right now I think it was classified in the NECA Turtles.
Okay.
Even though that whole room back there is just all Transformers, I don't even care anymore. Like all the new characters, unless somebody comes out that was from the G1 timeline, I'll get that, but I don't mess with everybody else. I just don't.
I know I've mentioned this before. Do you ever watch Tidarium Hanger?
No.
So he does. He's kind of like the Foosh. He does a news thing once a week. And he's really heavy into Transformers. So maybe it's a half hour. I swear 20 minutes is Transformers. and I watch it. I find them interesting. And I swear to God, like every time I watch it, I'm like, I'm so glad I don't collect Transformers.
Oh, there's so many. That's why. Many. That's why the ones that I sold was enough to fund another line.
And they're expensive. There's no cheap Transformers.
The crazy thing about Transformers, if you don't get them when they first come out, like they just go up in price so fast because people can't find them. Like I had the the movie figures from the Bay movies, and I don't know why I got them because I hate them. So I was selling them for like almost 80 to 100 bucks a piece when they were only 20. You know,
I have my
it's
son's
crazy.
Bumblebee and Ironhide up there. And
Yeah,
there's
I have Bumblebee and the ice cream truck. Oh, and the Devastator.
Okay, they're so hard
because he has the balls. I had to get him because he has the balls. So.
They're so hard to transform. I would tell my son, I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna transform this once a week, but no more. Because as a kid, I transformed Optimus Prime, and you transformed him in 3 seconds.
Yeah, you stand him up and boom. You know,
there was never one that was that difficult. And these things are like, and you're giving them to like 4-year-olds.
I remember one of my friends. He backed the Unicron, and of course that was a HasLabs.
That's crazy.
The only time where I wasn't working in 17 years was during that during that campaign, and I didn't understand the campaign. I thought it meant if it was funded, then it would come out. I didn't realize that you had to be in it to get it. So.
Okay.
But yeah, I went over to, and he had it in planet mode, and he's transforming it into a robot. And yeah, it's a big thing, but it took over 2 hours. It was just all panels folding in on itself. I'm like, holy crap, you know. It's like,
yeah, I couldn't even I like the G.I. Joe Transformers.
Yeah.
And when I do the review, I will transform it into the car, and then it gets transformed into the robot, and that's where it stays.
Because that Bumblebee one was really cool.
What?
The Bumblebee one I thought turned out pretty good. The His Tank Megatron is cool, but he's just so paper thin, you know. It's just the plastic is. It's like those buckets you get at the grocery store for making sandcastles. You know, I almost said snow cones.
But yeah, really. Says, just get the third party cell, aka
Yeah, I have seen that, but I feel like he's not tall enough. I'm just nitpicky there, but.
All right, so you're into G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Classified. So this is something you and I have talked about, and there's a lot of gridiron people here. I need you to explain, because when I talked to you, you kind of told me your experience with gridiron, and now. And
it was just a bad experience.
It was a bad experience, and when I talked to Tony, I'm like, he didn't he wasn't. You weren't bad mouthing him. You were just.
Oh no! I mean, I mean, that's why I was talking to him, because I wanted what I was going to buy, but it just turned into this.
So just explain it so everyone can hear exactly. Because again, when you talked to me, you didn't seem like you weren't bad. You were just like, you were very disappointed over the experience.
I just had a bad experience, but
yeah, and you walked away from it.
Well, okay, so the toy store, it's called Retro Exchange, and they were doing a G.I. Joe event, and I went there, and I already had in my head, because I know everybody hates them, but I wanted Firefly. Like that's my focus, was to go there and get Firefly, and I like the way he looks. I like his face. I like that crazy eye that he's got, you know. But I wanted to get the loadout too, because they've made a big deal that, you know, Gridiron was going to be there. And I'm talking to one of the guys, and he's setting up, you know, their figures and all their different weapons and stuff. And they were like, they do look really cool, right? And then they had some custom figures, and I liked what I was saying. I was like, this is cool, because he saw that I had Firefly. I was like, oh, you're gonna want this. I'm like, yeah, I do want that. And I was like, how much is it? And he says it's $30. So I'm like, okay. So I didn't have cash, so I went across the street. I went to Walmart. I got wait, was it $30? That sounds cheap.
I think you said 40.
Yeah. Anyway, what it was I got $40 out. I came back, and that guy was gone. But the people behind the table was this guy and this lady. And I said I wanted to get the loadout, and then they said it's $50. I'm like, wait, the guy that was just here said it was 40. And they're like, no, it's, and then the other guy wasn't even part of the conversation. He just butted in and was like, no, it's 50, like that, right? I'm like, I wasn't talking to him, so that's kind of weird. And so then I'm wandering around the store because I didn't want to go back out, you know, I didn't want to go get any more money. So I was like, whatever. So then I go on their website, and their website shows it for 45. You know, I'm like, so I was quoted 40. Their website sells it for 45, but they want 50 for it. And that's when I just went home, you know. But I just thought that, you know, there's 3 people there. They work for the same company. They should all have the same information, you know. And to be $5 more than their actual website, I just thought that was stupid. So I just left, and I got a cupcake, and then I left because they were selling baked goods.
Because I remember you telling me, because I believe it was shortly after I had done the video of it.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, I told Tony about it, and I think Tony said Johnny Reno was actually working there that day. So I don't.
Oh, really? I don't know anybody.
Yeah. So, and I don't, but I was like, and Tony was kind of like, he wasn't like, he was, I forget how he said, I'm like, no, he wasn't mad about it, but it brought a very, you know, he just had a very bad experience. And I think there's just some huge, you know, miscommunication.
Yeah, it was miscommunication, misunderstanding. I did like I mean, I really wanted that. I still do, but but now that there's a new Firefly coming out, you know, maybe
so
I
Johnny
can.
says, I was there. The guy who told you the wrong price was just a customer, not an employee. Well, either way, I mean, whoever it was, and again, like,
no, he did work there. He was setting up the figures. He was putting them on the pedestals. He was setting them up.
Yeah. So again, but the reason why I wanted to bring it up is not to badmouth Gridiron or anything. That it was that I think some people, because I had mentioned it before, thought you were bad mouthing him, and I'm like, no, he's not bad.
Oh no,
he was just saying.
No, it was just that one experience.
When I walked away, like, you know what? I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get it because someone told me one thing when I came back 20 minutes later, whatever. They had a different price.
I just don't want. I don't like situations. I don't like conflicts. So, you know, if something goes wrong, I was like, I just walk away. You know.
Yeah.
But I did. That's when I was like, well, maybe I'll just order it online, and I just never did. So.
Now you're gonna be able to get one for $25. So.
Huh?
Now you'll be able to get one for $25.
No, I don't know. But yeah, no, I really, because the guy I was talking to first, you know, he's setting them up, and I just thought they looked really cool because, you know, the first series, you know, they're all like those goofy looking weapons. They don't look real at all, you know. So.
Yep, I didn't realize a lot of them are the actual Nerf guns, because I always call them laser weapons, and people are like, no, they're Nerf guns. If you look, they own Nerf, and and a lot of them are actual Nerf guns.
That's so weird.
But yeah, so it's, you know, it's just one of those. I mean, it's nice that they've changed it. You know, Valaverse, they put out so many weapons. So I was buying weapons packs. Now I'm looking at stuff and I'm just like, I have so many weapons now. And now there's classifieds that come with multiple weapons.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, well, you know, like Stalker, he comes with, you know, that small machine gun and then his SMG. And it's like, well,
yeah, those are cool.
Yeah, he's not going to have both of them. So now I have this SMG that never gets used.
Yeah, because I picked up, what is it, Karma Chameleon? The ninja that was on Amazon, the green ninja. Kamakura. I stole all of his weapons and put them on Snake Eyes because Snake Eyes had those weird weapons with the holes in them. Like,
oh my god, yeah. Great idea. A great idea.
Was it?
I mean, great idea that you want them to be able to hold everything on their person.
Oh yeah.
But it was executed poorly, considering there's big holes. Especially the pistol had a hole like right where anything could be used.
Yeah, I didn't understand the hole.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't mind the Cobra Trooper and the infantry weapon. I just hated the big peg on the side.
Yeah, they're not bad.
But at least the peg, you can say, all right, you can hold it there. The hole is like, there's a hole. Like I like the idea, and again, they're still doing it, but they found it
Well,
better.
the thing about Snake Eyes is, I for me, he's one of my favorites ever since that I saw him at that kid's house with the snake eyes. um, and I just thought he deserved, his right weapon.
Well, what didn't make any sense was they gave it to us with the Snake Eye 00.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they did.
Yeah, because that has his Uzi. It comes with extra hands. He has the sword, the backpack, and then he actually has a suppressor and an actual sidearm, not sidearm with a hole in it. And the sidearm with a hole doesn't make any sense because he has a holster for it, but it's able to connect elsewhere. Again, I agree with you. The whole
yeah, I like him better with the Kamakura stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't know Kamakura at all. Like, I know who he is now, but at the time I'm like, I don't know him. But but he's got his two swords and whatever. He's just on the shelf with the swords.
Yeah.
I stripped him of his weapons.
Trying to think of, I think I just have him with the swords with the other ninjas, like in a display. But yeah, it's one of those like weird where it's just like now I have so many weapons and I don't even, but again, like when you see the Valiverse weapons and it's like $13 for a bunch of different weapons, and if there's 3 weapons that you like, it's worth the price.
So the Valiverse stuff, they actually scale with the classified? I swear when I saw them, I thought they were smaller.
No. Some of them are actually bigger.
Okay.
To be honest.
I just really wasn't paying attention then.
Yeah.
So their boxes are smaller. I don't know. Something about them was just...
Yeah, no, they're actually bigger. Some of them. So like some of the first weapons are just, in my opinion, scale too big. And I think that Bobby feels the same way because now he has Mark to Toys designing them. And he's like, I wish I would have had him design them all, this whole time. Like, okay, so you're throwing the first designer under the bus. Good job. There you go. Throwing someone else under the bus. What's new, right?
Yeah, I never heard of them until I saw you reviewing them.
I did not know who. Okay, so I didn't know who they were either. All that I saw was the experimental pack of 30 weapons or 30 pieces, like 33 pieces. But some of those were magazines too. But and I saw like the AK-47. AK-47 is huge. All right. You can get away with it on the Cobra Officer or on a Cobra Trooper, but it is big. So like if you try and have them posing it, you're like, that is a big weapon. Some of the 203s on it, I think they're scar. Well, this scar with the 2, so like this scar here. So this is part of the newer ones. This one's actually kind of smaller, but it just doesn't look right. But some of the weapons are just a little bit too big. But sometimes they look better with some of the classified figures because classified figures, some of them are bigger than the Valiverse weapons.
No.
But the way I see it is like if you're spending $15 for usually about 9 or 10 different weapons, again, if you get 3, if there's 3 weapons that you really like, it's like perfect. I can do that, and so for the most part, most of my figures have different pistols, even though you don't really see them too often. I just hate. And I talked about it on Tuesday. They need to retire that other gun that they start getting. Like, all right, just get rid of it. Like, retire it. The holster will hold another pistol. I know that for a fact.
Yeah. The only classified figure that I have that doesn't have his original guns is Beachhead. I think I gave him Sergeant Slaughter's machine gun.
So if you want, you can. If you want Beachhead's gun, you can go to Mark to Toys. You can get on BBTS too. Yeah. Order his pack. I want to say it's about $18.
Yeah.
And he has it's in gray too. That's all but it's in gray. Beachhead's original gun.
Oh, cool.
But you also like in that pack there was Beachhead's gun.
Because that gun that Beachhead comes with is weird, and you got that tiny crossbow that's
the crossbow I like because there's a crossbow on his original backpack.
Yeah, I like that, but
I like it on the backpack. But
they could have.
Every time I see that gun, I think of the Dark Knight Returns when he's shooting those things. I think when he's in Japan or China, wherever Batman goes, and he's like, and that's what that gun looks like, just green. It's awful. It is.
Yeah, that's the only one that, like, even though everybody else has weirder guns, the fact that it's all green, it just stands out.
Yes,
it stands out like that.
Doesn't
he's the only one. Everybody else, I just have them on a shelf. They're just standing there.
So you don't even modify the guns or anything?
No, I don't really do any of that.
So
what's up?
See, I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Like I had to have, like the moment I could get a machine gun for Roadblock, I had to change it out. I couldn't stand that. Although that big cannon of his.
The only Roadblock I have is the second one.
Okay. Oh, so you don't have the first one?
Yeah, I didn't get the first one.
The first two, there's that. They weren't the same. They're actually two different head sculpts.
The only time I customized stuff was a lot of the Playmates Ninja Turtles in the 90s. They had so many details that weren't painted, and I would paint them myself. Like there'd be characters that are all one color and their eyes aren't painted, or you could see they're wearing a shirt that's molded on, but you can't. It's the same color as the plastic.
Had a digital diary. Late talking. Took mom to a train concert. Losing my mind.
What's up?
What is a train concert? I'm kind of worried to even find out what that is.
The train's a band, right?
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bunch of trains making whistle noises. That'd be fun to see.
That is interesting that you don't you just kind of leave everything for the most part as is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really mess with, like, I'll take them out of the package and I'll mess with them a little bit. I'll take some pictures, then I'll put them on the shelf, and they either sit there until they gather enough dust to fall down, but yeah, I don't know. I just like to put them on display. And
I love when people are like, "How do you dust your figures?" Next question.
Yeah. You just canned air and little spurts of canned air, like.
Yeah, that's scary though, because if you get the condensation, you would. I have a
oh yeah, my cousin killed one of my Game Boy, squirting the inside of the screen, and that liquid came out and melted my screen.
So I have a one of those die-cast Lamborghini Countaches.
Yeah.
And I must have hit it when it shot out the condensation, and it hit the window, and now it's been like this for 25 years. It has this
a streak.
It's not even a streak. It looks like someone like threw ice on this one section. It's really weird, but it's only on the plastic windshield. But again, like working on copiers, like I hate canned air. I was at a client's office, and he had this gun. I thought it was a little blowtorch. I'm like, why the hell do you have a blowtorch? He's like, it's air. I'm like, what? No, Amazon for like $75, $75. Plugs in a USB port, and I can turn it any way that I want, and it's just a fan.
Oh yeah.
So I don't have to worry about, especially working on electronics, because I really don't trust the guys that I work with. So I'm like, hey, I ship it over my boss. I'm like, hey, order this for me. He's like, what is it? I'm like, it's air. I'm like, I know it's kind of expensive. I go, but if it works, and I was playing with the one that he has. He goes, well, as much as canned air costs right now, if it works, great. I mean, and I use it all the time now. I use it all the time.
That's cool. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I need to get something like that.
They get dusted when the ceiling fan is running. You ever look at the top of a ceiling fan and go, how does that dust not come off?
Yeah. I got that going on here. Oh yeah, I was talking about these too. I
Oh,
rebuilt some arcade machines, so that was a phase that I was going through.
I think that's a phase of rebuilding. That is. So how many?
Well, I have three. Hang on. I thought, what's happening? Okay. So I of course I wanted the Street Fighter 2 because that was my favorite.
Yeah.
And then the Alien versus Predator was one I had to have. And then the Neo Geo.
Wow, yeah. Neo Geo. Wow, that's.
So,
I haven't heard that in a long time.
The thing about the Neo Geo is, I hated the home ports of those games. They were never just like the arcade. And of course, I had to. I got the system. I cleaned it up, and I got a bunch of the games for it. So.
That's to me that type of stuff is interesting, and just like I said, for this whole thing, just getting to know someone that's in the chat, and again, you're always in the chat.
Yeah, I got nothing else on Mondays. So.
I'm not sure if I should take it offensive or.
But these two, I got them fairly cheap from one of my friends, and I rebuilt them. I put all the new controllers. They used to have cigarette burns on them and stuff, and and so I scraped them all. I rebuilt them, and then he's like, "Do you want to sell them?" But he wanted them back after I built them all up. But yeah, so that was one of my big things when I was collecting comics was Alien vs. Predator, and this game never came out on the home system, so I had to get it like that. So.
Now, how often do you play those games?
I play them a lot, yeah. Especially like Thanksgiving when people come over and stuff, and I play Street Fighter all the time.
So what's funny is that you showed the Clay Fighters.
Oh yeah.
I hated. I can't say I hated Street Fighter. Just all my friends played Street Fighter. I was never into games. I could never get it. But when Clay Fighters came out, I'm like, you know what? I'll get that. I mean, it's a fighting game, and I actually got pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of the controls are the same as the Street Fighter, but I never sat down at the arcade. I could never play that well. And now I'm just kicking myself because I'm like, I had Clay Fighters, and you said that's like $1,000 game.
Well, no. Well, this one is. This is I think the 4th game in the series. It was only available Blockbuster to rent. And
that's not the one I had.
When they were getting rid of all their old rentals, I picked it up cheap, and I never get rid of anything, so it's still here. So, but I have maybe 10 or 15 Blockbuster exclusive games, and none of them are worth it as much as that. So I don't get it. And this game sucks. I mean, it's not good, but everybody, but people want it because it's so hard to get. And I actually like the one that came out before it. I actually like a lot better, and this one was full retail. This is retail. It's cheap, They did stuff to this one I didn't like. So, but yeah, like I said, if I have anything that's worth money, it was accidental.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I tell people, I go, when people want to first off, collecting as an investment later on down the road is not a good investment. Because you never know. But if you're going to collect anything in hopes to resell it at a higher price, collect Legos.
Oh, Legos, really? Yeah.
They don't ever go down in price, and they almost always go up. I sold a bunch of my son's unopened Legos that he got for his birthday and stuff that he just never opened. And he was too old, he no longer. and I didn't sell one of them for less than double the price of what it was when I got it.
Oh wow.
Well,
The only time I got into Legos was when they started doing Star Wars.
Yeah, and it was what he liked. The only one that sold for less was a Star Wars one, and that is because I was just starting to do eBay, and I obviously put it up as a buy it now.
Oh yeah.
As an auction because it sold within 5 minutes, and I'm like, wait, how could it sell already? And I looked, I'm like, oh crap! And I'm going through all the other ones, and I'm like, I have them all as buy it now, not realizing it. And I'm like changing everyone, but I didn't have anyone that obviously someone wanted. I mean, it was within 5 minutes. I'm like, how could it have sold? It's up for a week.
Yeah, I had one that did that. I submitted it without checking it first, and it sold before I could even realize. Like I went to fix it like right away, and it was already gone. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
There's people they have notifications that tell them when something is listed that they're looking for.
See, Johnny, I sold several Lego sets for about $5,000. Yeah, my son still has like Legos that are open, and those would sell for crazy money too. Like, but these ones weren't even open yet. They weren't even. I think I had 8 or 9 sets that, and one was a duplicate. Like one sold for I think 80 or 90, and I was like, this thing was like a $20 set like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
but then you start looking, and you're like, holy crap! Like, if you're going to invest in anything, invest in Lego and then sell it in 5 to 10 years because it will be worth more. Because I don't know, you can buy the bricks.
I'm a cat. Like I'm aware of stuff that I have, but I don't look at it to sell them later. You know. So.
Yeah, like I said, I
like when I sold my Saturn stuff, it's because I had to. You know.
It's one of the like it's weird when you see these people. Now I understand like if you're gonna buy a HasLab, like if you're buying the HasLab cash, you know you have the cash and you're like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna buy 2. I know I'm gonna be able to pretty much buy pay for the other one. Okay,
yeah.
well that's great. You know you're gonna be able to do that. So that's something is never being made again. But that's how Legos pretty much are because they have that big Millennium Falcon and my buddy bought it.
Yeah.
And I want to say it was like $500 or $600. Now he's big into Legos. He's also big into Star Wars, and he bought it. He ordered this coffee table, which is a glass coffee table, and then so it's underneath that, along with one of the ATSTs, and then he put LED lights throughout it. And I'm like, how'd you do that? He's like, it's not easy to weave them in between some of these bricks. And then he created other things, buying other Legos. So it's like the hallway and everything. And it's got to be worth, $1,500 now.
Nice.
Just the Legos in general, not including the very expensive coffee table that's made out of glass. So yeah, like I said, if you're gonna collect anything for an investment, I go with Lego. But again, I've heard other YouTubers say the same thing. They're like, it's not really a good investment. So, but anyway.
The table that I'm using now is a Pac-Man cocktail.
Oh, that is awesome. We so a quick story, then we'll get out of here. So like my son was in high school and my daughter was in middle school, and their school was technically on the same property, but my son had to be dropped off somewhere about 6:45, 6:50. My daughter couldn't be dropped off to 7:30. So we we'd either sit in the parking lot and just sit there and veg out, or we'd shoot over to Walmart and go toy hunting because we had because Walmart was like right out. Like you pulled out on the main street and there it was. And we would go in there, not find anything, be back to school, and we usually be like the second or third person, if not the first. Like that's how. So we'd go there, and we'd go. She knew exactly where to go. We'd go down the toy aisle, and she'd play with the Minions fart gun. But then we come around where the Funkos, because she collects Funko Pops.
Yeah.
And one day the Pac-Man machine was there, Miss Pac-Man, and she started playing it. And then one day she accidentally hit 2-player, so that her and I would play. And she beat me one time. It was kind of funny. It was the only time that she had ever beat me. She was so happy. But so she would just we'd play one game, and we'd still be back to her school, and we'd be maybe the third person at worst. And a lot of times we were still the first. And I knew it wasn't going to be there forever. It was there for about 6 or 7 months. And then one day she comes around the corner and she's like, "Oh, it's gone." She's like so disappointed. So now anytime we go to that Walmart, that's the first thing that she brings up.
Yeah.
Right? This is a 14-year-old girl that has no shame. You guys have seen her, pop her head in here, putting makeup on. Like, she has no shame whatsoever. And I think it's awesome. But it's so funny. Like, that's what she thinks of. And her last day of middle school this year, because she's now going to be in the same school, I was like, we went there. I'm like, this is your last toy hunt. Like, this is, not that we ever find anything, but I'm like, this is something like she's going to think of. You know, when I'm gone, telling her, her kids or her grandkids or whatever. Maybe when she has kids, just like, yeah, Grandpa, your grandfather used to take me. We'd go toy hunting all the time. A lot of times she just.
It's fun.
So, but anyway, go on.
I was gonna say I still have the very first game that I ever owned.
Nintendo game or Atari or
Atari.
Oh my gosh! I hear that's not a good game.
The thing is, it got a really bad reputation. But of course, when I was a little kid and it's all I had, it was like my favorite thing. But yeah, there was a drugstore that my mom. It was like a Walgreens, and it was there for $10, and I just realized that this game, ET in general, just turned 40 last year.
Yeah.
So my whole collection started with this, and 40 years later.
And that's what you have to show for it. So, well, all right. So quickly, Johnny Reno, he wants to know if you give a pan around your room before we call it.
Yeah. I'm going to turn these off real quick though. Because the games, they start to flicker. I don't know how to turn the camera around.
I don't know if you can when you're. I don't know.
Well, I'll do this. So I don't know if you can see it. This is the Alien versus Predator stuff. I have every game, the promotional stuff. Remember Muscle?
Yes, we were recently talking about Muscle on a stream that I was on.
Those are alien themed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then, the Alien versus Predator, the NECA figures, because they had to go with the games. And this is my Pac-Man. I'm trying to look at this on the side. So all of these games, this is like every Pac-Man game that was pretty much ever released. I got Atari Pac-Man and Television Pac-Man. Mega Man. Those new Mega Man figures look cool.
Oops.
And these are Nintendo, Super Nintendo 64. I got the Switch down there. This is all the Mario stuff. And
that looks nice. Like, I like how you have everything set up. Like, everything is.
I got these Pac-Man ghosts. Can you see them?
Yep.
They didn't have the orange guy, so I put the Mario ghost there. And so that's my Sega stuff.
Rampage there. I love Rampage. So much
fun.
Rampage,
that's one of my favorites. And then the Pop ones. This is the I got these Mortal Kombat bookends, and I don't have any books, so I just put all the Mortal Kombats there.
Well, if the book was good enough, they'd make it into a movie.
I got this guy. He's cool. Parappa the Rapper.
Oh, jeez.
So here I got the RoboCop versus Terminator.
Okay.
Those are the comics and the games, and I even got the movie. I have, I think, 7 copies of RoboCop. I keep buying RoboCop. These are like all the Turtle games, that even the new series, and then my Turtles, and they go all the way down. And then, here where my Pac-Man is, I got a Pac-Man rug.
I like how clean everything. I like how clean everything is. Like, I don't mean like that. It's clean, but everything is nice and clean.
You ever see Frankenhooker?
No.
That's my favorite movie.
Oh, I take that back. I don't know if I've seen it, but I know what it is.
These are the other game systems I have. And at the CDI, the 3DO, the Xbox, and Jaguar.
You see that GameCube right there?
Yeah,
that is an underrated system. I don't care what anyone says.
The GameCube's awesome.
It was so much fun.
Those are all the Neo Geo games I got.
Wow.
And then there's this guy. And then, have you heard of the Amico?
I'm not sure.
It was a system that was supposed to come out and never did. But they made games that I'll never ever get to play.
What was it called?
Amico.
Oh,
it was by Intellivision.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a system that never came out. I don't think it ever will. And then Street Fighter stuff. I got the Bison dollar.
You got a lot packed into that room.
Yeah. Did you want to see the Transformers room?
Yeah. I mean.
Check this out. I was, I don't know if you could see it.
Oh my God. Are you talking about the,
So in the Nintendo Power magazine, I drew a little guy and he was in the magazine there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the Altered Beast that we could see changing.
Oh yeah. I don't know.
Like, we can see it changing. That looks so awesome. Oh my God, like, I want that.
Yeah. So I got the Altered Beast. The Altered Beast pops too. I don't know if I can see it. Yeah, right here, Altered Beast. But and then there's this guy.
I don't think I've ever played with that, to be honest. Rob the Robot?
Yeah. This Punch Out is kind of rare. It's a gold Punch Out. I put it in a frame.
Wow.
Yeah. All right, so the next room. All right, so if people stay over, there's a bed. And here I put all the collaborative characters together.
Oh wow, that looks nice.
And then I got
I like the Jurassic Park, even though like I'm not at Jurassic Park, and the truck's upside down and
yeah, I like him. He's cool. And then the Back to the Future car and the Ghostbusters. And then these weird ones. These are Street Fighter Transformers. And then the Top Gun.
I was going to ask you to get the Top Gun, and yeah, there it is. I was tempted to get that one, and I just was like, nope, not going to do it.
That's the Dracula. It turns into a bat. And then the G.I. Joe ones.
Wow.
And then I have the ceiling lined with the comics.
Now, did you wait, is there a ledge there, or is it just perfectly lined up? It almost looked like there was a ledge there at first, but
no, they're thumbtacks.
You have it lined up so perfectly. It looks like
Mhm.
the old wallpaper that our parents had up, but it looks nice. I'd rather see that.
It's hard for me to see. Uh, so these are all the games that came out, Transformer games. I got this guy just because he's got the sack. Uh, and then this one's cool. This is a band, like a rock band called the.
Wow, that is.
So they came with this amplifier box, and then this is where I used to have all my Beast characters, but these are the GI Joes. And there's that book I told. Is that the book you were talking about?
That's the book, all right.
Yeah. And then I got the Snake Eyes sword just because it was there and it was on clearance.
I
And then
wanted to get a Snake Eyes sword because I have the helmet or the mask, not the helmet, the mask.
I never did find the mask. And then I got the Titans all the way across.
Wow.
And then I really like the combiner characters. So after I started getting this War for Cybertron, I went back and I got some of the combiners. And then this, I wish I had a flashlight or something. This is all the jets. So there's my army builder right there. That's, and he's got more characters. And then this shelf is all female robots.
Oh, that's your woke shelf?
Yeah, so yeah, I separated them to their own shelf. Here's another cat.
I know.
Then I got Bumblebee. I got a little Bumblebee shrine. And I got a Transformers Xbox. And then the ice cream truck.
Oh, okay. Yep. All right. I know.
Yeah, so I like this.
Man, that room's awesome too. I mean,
I had to do something like this so I can keep it clean. I got the Autobot Transformers.
There's how you dust.
Yeah. But, yeah. I also have. Check this out. I know you don't like it. I got Ren and Stimpy stuff.
I never said I don't like Ren and Stimpy.
I thought you said you hated Ren and Stimpy.
No, I've just never watched it. I've never said any, no. I couldn't tell you anything about Ren and Stimpy other than their names, and that one's a creepy looking cat.
Yeah, so
it's better than Cat Dog. That thing creeps me out.
I don't know Cat Dog.
Oh, one of my ex-girlfriends before my kid's mom. Before I met my kid's mom, her son was right around that age, and I just remember it being such a creepy thing. Wade asks, is that an actual fan or does it transform too?
Yeah, it transforms from clean to dirty.
Yeah. Again, another thing, like how do they not get dusty? Anyway, I want to say thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. That's awesome.
No, like I said, I know you know, when I asked you, you were like, I'm not sure if people would be that interested. I'm like, no, that's exactly what it is. Like people that like they see you in, they see you in the comments all the time, but you don't have a YouTube channel, so no one really knows who you are.
Well, I do have a YouTube channel. I just don't really update it.
Yeah, you don't promote it.
No, it's there.
I got like kind of mood guy.
I think I have like 60 followers. And I'm on Instagram. I post a lot of pictures there.
And Allison probably lost it when she saw a whole female shelf of yours.
Oh yeah, I had to have a dedicated shelf.
but you know what I like? I like when I see a collector and how they decide that they want to display things. Because, like, for me, I like doing, if I can make like a dial, which takes up a lot more space, obviously, than just static poses, but how you had, like, here's your Bumblebee stuff. Here's a whole thing of, females. You have.
Is that an OCD?
What?
Is that OCD?
You know what? Listen, when my ex moved out, it's like I can do things the way that I want to do them, right?
Yeah.
I realized how much OCD that I have, and she's like, you're a little OCD at stuff. Oh, look. So you obviously like Merman then?
Yeah, I like Merman.
He's like the one I never liked it growing up.
This is my only Skeletor.
Which one is that?
It's the Super 7.
Okay.
I liked him because he looked like the cartoon.
Yep. Which we'll be talking about next on Monday because they are doing a whole Filmation line now.
Yeah, after I buy that, they have a Filmation line coming out.
Well, like I said, I want to say thank you very much for joining me. It's been a lot of fun. And again, this is the first time I'm actually talking to you. Everyone else, the 3 other people that I've talked to, I've had conversations with them. This is the first time, other than going back and forth.
Well, I'll pop out and I'll say hi, and then I'll go into a little cave for 2 weeks.
Hey, you're there for every Thursday movie that we do. So it's and you're a channel member. So everything is for me. It's so, I'm so appreciative for every single one of these. Every one of you guys that help grow this channel. But you've pretty much been there from the beginning. So, but
yeah.
I'm gonna say goodnight because it is 12:30. I keep saying that I'm gonna go to bed early. I don't think I've gone to bed early once.
Yeah.
In the past.
No matter what time I go to sleep, I wake up at 4 a.m.
Yeah, and eventually it catches up to me. And I'm dog sitting my old dog while my kids are on vacation, which means I have to get up. Oh, look.
Are you doing a Silent Bob impression?
I have no idea why I just froze. I think there's nothing going on my computer. I think that's my computer saying you need to go to bed. So anyway, thank you everyone. Again, thank you, Tom, for showing up. And you just never know. So anyway, everyone, have a wonderful night. We will see you on Monday night. And take care.
Bye.